Hi Virgo. Let's hope that gods of Mercury or communication are going to be with us. I'm trying to do this recording for about 7 hours and it's popping up on the computers. Mercury retrograde. It does happen very often. It is the worst ever. So Virgos, you're number 4. What does that mean? That means that when I ask for, hey, can you kind of like give me likes and clicks and comments, that you actually came forward, and like being number 4 is really big, given that Leo blew everybody out of the water. So I really hope you can push your 4th place to closer to the 1st, if not the 1st. Just by continuing to do that, maybe just in the greater numbers. So let me start. As I said, I don't know how long this could last, and I just did Pisces before you, and there's like a little hell on the screen that is stopping, and hopefully it's not going to work that way in a transition. So what I'm doing, guys, and please check your moon and ascendant as well, because after all, this is a general reading. The general reading really, it's, as I explained in my Mercury retrograde, it's kind of like old navy clothing, sort of like you still have to tack it in, you still have to kind of like do some adjustments, quite a bit of them. If you really want, if you want to order the reading, come to cattarot.ca, and you are getting some messages, guys. Chariot and 10 of Wands seem to be the first, like bending over, almost like that's what I'm imagining. I'm looking down, I'm looking like from behind, so not a great sight. But this is not the best way to carry his wands over here. So I don't know. On one hand, emotion, we have 2 horses, kind of like each of them have their own, let's say, idea in which direction they really want to go, and Chariot is there saying, actually my idea is this, pay me, you both are going to go in this direction. We're here, where is he going to, where is he heading? Actually heading into unknown. I see some kind of like situation that is written with secrets, or maybe that he's leaving something that was burdensome behind him, something that kind of like it just couldn't be carried anymore. Sometimes we just come to the ending of something literal. To me, Chariot is always like when you kind of like really want something, but you want something else better. So it's not like clearly I don't want to and that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, hey, I need to finish my university before we are together, or I need to want to see my kids growing up before we are together, that kind of thing. Then we have the Lovers here. Somebody's taking a step back, and we have here Page of Wands, and we have 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups is very difficult deck, as you are noticing over here. The Lovers card and like these 2 cards, and it's kind of like really weird, because I was like looking at this card and I was saying to myself, wait a minute, why did this person leave the station from Lovers? Remember how I said I still need to do something before we go forward? So that was kind of like going on in my mind. So you see, I'm giving you the insight into the crazy mind over here. The Page of Wands is generally talking about somebody super swift, right? He clearly doesn't have a horse yet. He kind of like didn't graduate to that level, but it's about new adventure. I really think that some of you might be leaving certain, let's say, unsavory things. It's time to heal the wounds, right, of the spirit, and whatever it is, disappointment, sadness, broken spirit, broken heart, nostalgia. This is all part of that Mercury retrograde. But I also see a huge hopefulness in the situation. I see some of you saying, no, nobody puts Virgo in the corner kind of a thing, and it's kind of like grinding and bearing it, grinding your teeth and bearing it, pardon me. It's kind of like, I gotta do it. It's the medicine that is kind of like really needs to be taken. It's almost like you're taking a step back. Maybe, you know, you're back in a situation where you really know what you want. Interestingly enough, you are a sign ruled by Mercury retrograde, and I frankly really anticipate a whole bunch of crap coming up during your reading and Gemini reading. And you, it's more or less for everything else that is happening on my computer in the background at this stage. But you are ruled by Mercury, and you know, Gemini also is ruled by Mercury, which is kind of like here what is like really shown. I actually really like the composition of this particular card. So what we are really doing and talking over here is kind of like the beloved, right? And it's about choice. You probably are aware that right now I'm doing this shamanic kind of like studies, and because I'm doing that, I'm getting this really weird associations, and I take these dreams further and I just start meditating to kind of like end them. You know, sometimes you just like wake up, oh, what had happened, because the stuff from the past is really happening. One situation, it was one of long forgotten, long gone, like I'm talking 20+ years, not even thinking about it in any kind of like shape or form. It popped up, and it popped up in a kind of way that really evoke all this emotional kind of like well-being, as if I were just there. I was like really shocked, both in my dreams and in my meditation. Like, where are these feelings coming from? Like, am I capable even of feeling this much? Because it felt really much stronger than they feel for people these days. I guess when you get older, like, you're a bit more cautious and you don't kind of like jump like coming entirely in there. So as I was like coming out to this meditation, I kind of like saw myself that actually I was like dealing in a little kind of like a log house on a very steep kind of like terrain, and there were two paths. One was like going up, and one was which was kind of like really easy walk. And I felt very comfortable. I said, oh my gosh, like maybe I made an error, maybe I should have stayed with this person, and forth, right? Because I was talking to my spirit guide in my meditation. You are on the right path. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. So, okay, I want to stay here. Nope, you're not staying. This is not your path. You see this like steep path? That's where you're heading. Why do I have to take the steep path? I want to take the other one. The other one actually also have a good view. So because if you up there on the very top is way better, but only if you get there. And it was really weird. I said, come on, but I'm feeling really good right now. Like, I really need this. And he goes, no, it's never bad recharging your batteries. So I'm telling you all of this because obviously it's like somebody who broke my heart in the past. And obviously there was like something like that is kind of like really popping up. But I think feeling the Chariot being really kind of like main kind of like lead in here, because this is about reaching some goal. This is about going in a new direction. And so keep in mind, if you're kind of like set, like I mean that you're going in a certain direction, to reach your goal you really need to become a master of your own means. So it's about determination, it's about heroism, it's about, hey, I know where I'm going. And maybe some of you, as I see here, and yeah, Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrograde wrecks how otherwise well-organized creature. Right now you feel like, oh my gosh, I want to pull my hair, like my house is not clean, did I kind of like turn off my stove, and look what the crap I'm eating, and I don't know if I'm healthy, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. You know, like taking this to extreme, which is really not typical for you guys. I really think this is also really so my screen I'm seeing just a blur, and whether or not you're going to say, hey, kiss my ass, or you're going to say, oh, I'm not so sure if I can carry this. Maybe you need to unload at this stage. Maybe you simply need to kind of like reach the position where you're saying, okay, you know what, maybe this is too hard to carry. And don't put too many irons in the fire, because just take this Chariot, take a Chariot. It doesn't have that much room, and it has room for goal, but it doesn't have that much room to carry all these wands. So maybe you are taking some burdens upon yourself, which probably you shouldn't be taking, and it's maybe a good time to kind of like say, okay, I kind of like really know where I'm heading. Maybe for some of you that's going to be step back, going back in a relationship with someone, which could be found of you just making sure, hey, I just want to make sure I'm not making the, you know, wrong decision. And maybe your path point, I really feel that you really need to assure yourself that what you're doing is correct and that you're going on the right path. All right, so let's continue. Let me put this a little bit kind of like back in different spots, because if it comes back, then I'm getting a little bit more information instead of them just being stuck together. Weirdly enough, for some other readings, they actually did get stuck together just right again. So let's see, what is, do I have one? Yeah, I have the Chariot. Chariot really wants to talk to you. I think this is something about Chariot. There is like something about your goals. Did you forget, guys, where you're going? Did you abandon something and you thought it's unachievable, or you completely forgotten about it? Hello, Mercury retrograde. Usually something that is bringing things from the back burner to the front burner, and as such, it's maybe good to kind of like dust off your old dreams and kind of like go in a new direction. So, whoa, you have Two of Cups on the bottom. So let's talk about it. Let me just see if I can show you this a little better, because you also have another card that is like hiding behind this, which is this Eight of Swords, and you also have the Wheel of Fortune. There are like certain things brewing in the background for you that you're still actually not sure what's happening and how it's happening, but seemingly it looks like somebody took notice, and somebody took a really nice notice, and somebody really likes you. So let's talk about this beautiful soulmate card. So Two of Cups, when it appears, it doesn't really have to talk about like meeting of the minds and understanding how things are fitting together, but it's also talking about that things are actually going well, and your life is probably going to be very harmonious. This is kind of like where you're destined to do. So your trip is supposed to be a very pleasant one, right? So it's a positive, very positive card, and it normally relates to that unity, and it relates to that love in romantic relationships, but it can actually talk about harmony, mutual respect and appreciation, also in partnerships and also in friendships, right? This is a minor arcana card. You see, they didn't make, you did have Lovers, which kind of came through, and now you have this, like, no, choices have to be made. Are you sure you take this man? Are you sure you take this woman? Are you sure you want to take this job? Here it is. Okay, enjoy as you go along, kind of like that kind of thing. So as far as love relationship, if you know, if this is kind of like where you really want to get this reading, then this is like an excellent news. This is a great card to get. If you're single, that's going to mean a romance and or the offer of relationship with a person like that you really share a strong connection. So it's kind of like mutual attraction. It's not like, oh, I have a crush, I have a crush, I wish he's going to like represent perfect union and proposals, engagement and marriage. It's kind of like really whatever you're dreaming, it's kind of like going in that direction. The relationship that this is kind of like talking about is going to be very lovely, and it's going to be kind of like that next level of commitment, right? However, you know, it's less intense than that Lovers card in the Major Arcana. So it is definitely potential soulmate. I do have to tell you here that you know, it's going to be discontentment. But since I'm seeing this card here, and 2 and 8 are 10, and then also there is like this 10 to show over here, and then yet back to 1, that it could be something really coming in the past, established. What do you consider a good relationship? Because look at her, she is constrained. Maybe the soulmate that you want, it's for some reason unavailable, meaning still tangled up in bills or lawsuits or with another relationship. Usually, you know, all of these things are making people undateable. Well, normal people don't really head into that, because then it's kind of like a yarn. You never know if you're going to be managing to entangle. And you guys who are like so well organized generally stay away from it. Not that we all cannot find ourselves in this situation, sure we do. Now guys, the same can be applied on your career, right? That, you know, you do want this kind of like things to work out for some kind of like reason. It could be a business partnership, right? You know, that means it's going to work well, that you'll have similar goals and that you will have mutual respect for each other. If this is not a partnership, let's say you still really want, you know, a job, or you want certain things at work to calm down, that's representing harmony and balance. You need to find and realize that things are going well, and that like everything with your colleagues will be going well. So like, I mean, this is really good. Like, I mean, understanding that something probably has been culminating or boiling behind this. This is clearly not talking about excessive amount of money, but you will have enough. Like if you're worrying, like, oh my gosh, what do I do next? Who is going to get me? And you had some kind of like things. No, this is going to be kind of like really covered, and your bills will be covered, and you will really not worry. As far as when we're talking about health, some of you may have had issues, and if you're going to get pregnant, this can actually indicate a twin pregnancy sometimes. But you know, it looks like some of you have been waiting for diagnosis, and this is telling me that certain things, whatever, if there was, hi Matrix, hi kitty, that things will actually go back in place, and you know, it's going to kind of like work well. So keep in mind that having such a loving and positive energy that universe is sending you is also kind of like a big message that, you know, you are feeling this connection to spirit, and you're on the right path. You're feeling, remember, the path keeps coming here to me, and that you'll be finding balance, and you'll be finding harmony, and that love and that positive energy of love, which can be just like, I mean, healing love of the creator or something like that. Did you come to get some love, mister? Did you get some love, Matrix? That's such a rare occurrence. So yeah guys, you know what, like, I mean, universe is sending you something really great. The message over here is lovely, so do not feel constrained, do not feel that you know, you're afraid to ask, do not feel that, hey, you know, this is happening to the others, not to me. Do not feel scared. Let's see what else do we have here. So we have 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands, Lady Godiva. I guess we are really talking about here somebody feeling, hey, I've been through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations, but now it's my time to be happy, right? And this is about that victory card. It is about, you know, good news, and it is about, you know, like feeling like, I mean, that you're finally pushing things forward in a kind of like a good direction. So with this kind of like coming forward, especially, you have this good combination. There's like also essence of some kind of commitment. There's also essence of you're kind of like gluing things together, and it could be that there was like something in your life that really didn't work properly, and it couldn't get traction. At this stage, it's kind of like new problem kind of a thing. Especially if you're a woman, you're going to feel kind of coddled, and you're going to feel kind of really properly being taken care of. And then you have Lady in the Water. particular context about holding on to and maybe a relationship that is not working, or maybe clinging to old patterns. There is like something that needs to be kind of like bridged, or like partners polarized, and right now like nobody wants to make the step forward, or like somebody steps forward and the other person didn't. No, I'm not going to, I'm going back. You see, if your relationship is not going well, then basically this can indicate, hey, it's time to walk away. Interestingly enough, you're going to feel really good about that. You're going to feel, hey, it's all good. I don't really mind, because I really, what I like about is that card is she's like covered almost like in the shamanic rituals with all those flowers and everything about that, right? It's certainly talking about changes in a relationship, and the changes can be positive, even surprise engagement or surprise pregnancy. Hello, I'm here. And something that can be really overwhelming initially, right? So if you're single, this is really saying that you are, you know, you'll be soon casting off the old beliefs and issues and behaviors. For example, you know, if you don't like smokers, which is a really bad habit, I agree, you are not going to simply, you know, relegate people to the sidelines. Smoker, no, next, kind of a thing. You're going to look people more kind of holistically, integrally, and you're going to say, okay, you look, I really don't like your smoking. I really have to tell you, I don't want you to be, I don't like my drapes to smell like this. I don't want this breath. And then you might be surprised the person said, oh my goodness, I just wanted to quit for such a long time, and nobody was there to support me. It's almost like that you'll be somebody's kind of like guiding star, right? So it's going to be about embracing certain new things coming in your life, kind of going in a kind of like really, really good direction. So also, guys, be very kind of like I'm really enjoying really good about moving in this kind of like decision. Some of you who are, let's say, a little bit more spiritual, really want to say that this is going to be a big connection to your higher self and discovering a depth of spirituality that actually you maybe didn't know you possess. Right? So just like as I told you in my, you know, as I call it, vampire, you know, rituals, my shamanic kind of things, you really go through things that make you question everything. And believe it or not, I actually do have extremely pragmatic mind. I have lots of Virgo in my chart. And I think my, from closer planets, my Mercury is Virgo. How is that? For Mercury retrograde, right? So it is kind of transition from old situation to a new beginning. So embrace this change, even if it's difficult, because you're being guided to your higher path. So just keep that in mind. So let's see what right here. Wow, the foundation is a Page of Wands. So there is like a motion. You guys are trying to put things in motion, and of course, Page of Wands and Victory, certain things need to be emotional. Remember Chariot, all of these motion things that I'm seeing over here, things are starting to roll. If you have been stagnating, you are no longer going to stagnate. Keep in mind, with Mercury retrograde, it's like driving like 150 miles per hour. Like, you know, your knuckles are getting white on the wheel, and the radio is getting actually on your nerves because you are just like extremely super alert. But when you're super alert, that adrenaline is also making you do quicker and better decision. It's almost like you're divinely guided, unless you're crazy, right? But let's kind of like assume you're not. So for the crazy ones of you, kind of like, yeah, take notice that certain things are going to actually start having this huge speed, and because of that, you know, certain things may happen. So Page of Wands also indicates enthusiasm, right? It's kind of like basically, remember I said new adventure, right? And kind of like looking for your fire in your tummy. What is like your inner fire, right? So this actually can talk about, you know, one relationship is dead, one relationship is in, and this kind of like new opportunities is going to maybe be from somebody with a fire temperament, because this dude is Sheldon in Big Bang Theory, like, you know, when he was, what the heck, he was in that red suit. Phew, flash, he was flash. It was like just zooming in and out. This is a really, really fast energy. So I will repeat to you, your earth sign, you might be just like smitten in no time. Like, you might be saying to yourself, nah, no chance in heck that this is going to happen. But it can happen so freaking quick that you might not even understand what happened to you, and kind of like you need to let's just say be ready and understand that certain things within a month might be completely different than they are today. So let's go in direction and see what is in the past. Well, you have another 6 over here. There's like quite a bit about what is in and what is out, and why I'm staying here, why I'm not staying here. It's a clear pattern that is already really emerging, if you wish. Okay, so it's 6 of Swords. I love and love and love this card. Look at that, what we see a lady, and in this particular case we are not wondering who they are, we are seeing them head on. We are clearly understanding that she is a member of a family that is really well off, because look at these kilt or whatever this is, like with family crests over here, right? There are lotuses on the water, expectation of something much better coming forward, right? And yet she is aware that the life is not easy. She is aware that life must go on, and there's like some kind of like support over here, even though I do think that this is not a family unit over here. So this literally can mean traveling. This literally mean you have gone somewhere, whether it was like really that you change cities or change places, or that you are venturing into something completely new. So kind of like spiritual travel, if you wish. Maybe some of you are doing lots of yoga, and like you have been doing that for physical reasons, and now all of a sudden you're starting to feel like that nice buzz, and you're saying, oh my god, that's what they are talking about. I actually felt it. And sometimes people see colors, sometimes people hear sounds, and of course you question yourself if you're actually okay. But this is kind of like what they're saying, that gap, like that's in between the words, that kind of like make you enter there. Maybe you have abandoned, you know, certain aspects of your life, and you are kind of like you started a transition. There's clearly the transition has started, but you were not really sure where you're going. You just, what happened? Yes, you're a good boy. You see, I am getting like, I mean, all 3 of them actually coming and staying high. So, you know, I would say here that you have landed a helping hand, and even though I think there could have been some kind of like insecurity in kind of like how you really wanted to go around that, because I think you really had faced decision, or you were asked to face a decision, and it was really hard for you to think through it. You just said to yourself, look, I just know it has to be better, and the way it is, it cannot continue. It has to be better. Okay, so let us see what is like, I mean, above you at this stage. This Four of Pentacles is falling into really your own house, into kind of like who you really are, what do you really desire, how are you going to position yourself. So in the other deck, as I said, the dude that is clutching his little pentacles is always like a little weirdo, right? And that weirdo who really needs the stability no matter freaking what. All of you can die because I need this chair, kind of a thing, but not in this deck. I really like this dude over here. Look at that, he has a hand raised, he's seeing some accomplishment over here, clearly also enjoying it, even though he kind of has a little bit tricky face, tricky taste in fashion, but nobody's perfect, right? So this is really kind of like talking about stability, right? It's acknowledging where you are, it's feeling economically stable, there's like health, and there is also kind of like taking time off. It's maybe not really moving fast, not moving forward, which we kind of like see it here. It's a thread that it keeps happening so far, right? So even if you're stable, it might feel like Okay, so it is kind of like time to mull it over. It's really rock the boat, anything like that. And this particular stage is like, hey, you know, put your nice clothes and enjoy it. You might even go a little bit nuts and crazy. And your environment, wow, your environment, you might feel, oh, look at this, we have the past, and you're like still in some kind of environment. So you're going from the 6 to 7, you still might be surrounded with people. And remember how we had the Chariot and then we had the Lover, so we went from 7 to 6, and here we're going to 6 to 7. So as you can see, it's kind of like a yo-yo effect that I'm kind of like picking up on it. And this is why we had this many interference, which I know it was driving you nuts. But think about your own life and where things are hectic like that, where you feel like, oh my freaking god, the technology, everything is coming in my way. This is all kind of like calling in and saying you just need to trust. You really don't need to know where you're going. It's kind of like a final destination is clear, but all these little curves on the road, just kind of like trust that you're going to get there. This is your environment. Your environment might be, as I said, tricky. This card actually in the other decks has a really bad meaning, but I am not the reader who reads card. Oh well, this is what I learned, is keywords I'm going to tell you. Really positioning myself in a situation. So what would I experience? What would I feel if I were in her shoes? And her shoes are really nice shoes. In the connection over here, you see the red, and she also has hidden underneath something red. To me this suggests royalty. You know, he has this R over here, or I don't know whether it be B or R, RB. To me this really tells me that she's much more with the red sleeves here than she is represented over here with. And even though in the other decks it's really talking about betrayal and taking things, I actually don't see that. I think this is rightfully hers. So there's like somebody around you. It's almost like that you are being observed by someone, and this person is willing to offer you, let's say, kind of like bridge that certain things can actually move forward, especially if there's like somebody from the past, because these two cards are obviously linking. It just keeps coming in a full circle over here. But at the same time, they're like really holding on to almost like, you know, their own fort. You see these like two swords over here. No, that's staying behind. Certain things I won't do, certain things I cannot do. They have like, look at this, look, they're like 4 of them over here, and you had 6 of them. So we need to understand that most of the time we think about ourselves. We kind of understand ourselves, or trying to understand ourselves really well. And as much as you kind of like have all of these baggage, all of these hurdles, so do they. And believe it or not, they actually have less than you do. And it's kind of like peace kind of like offer to you. They're extending this willingness to be with you, to kind of like cooperate, to go forward. And also what I really like is like she has a whole bunch of flowers. It almost like tells me that you might be dealing with someone who has a almost like medicinal properties, if you wish. I know it sounds weird, but that's kind of came to me, and I really usually tell people all these associations that are kind of like pouring through. So I do know that generally, like, you know, not many people can touch you and heal you, but there is like something about this person that you really need to think through. Look at these corners that I'm seeing so far. I mean, all these corners are extremely positive. So you might feel that this person betrayed you, but there are things about this person that you really need to take in account. So I do get it. You want to be a little bit reserved, or quite a bit reserved. You want to say, look, you are not going to mess my life, and this is absolutely the right thing to do, and you're right to do. However, at the same time, if you're open to some kind of discussion, communication, then things have to be kind of like put out in the open and be dealt with in a proper fashion, because there is clearly a potential over here. I really do have to tell you that. So let's hear hopes and fears. And there's like 7 of Pentacles. So I really think it goes back to who you really are, to understand, look, I kind of like your whole concept of life, so I'm just trying to say how I would think if I were Virgo. Look, I really need that comfort in understanding that I'm good, that the bills are paid, that, you know, I have really healthy food on my plate, that, you know, I am feeling that peace and feeling that comfort. 7 of Pentacles, given that this is like back to your earthly kind of like sign over here, is really kind of like talking about good harvest, right? But in order to have a good harvest, you really need to wait for all this fruit to ripen. And I think that's basil over here. And again, there's like some kind of healing that is really talking about here. Maybe you should worry if you're abandoning something too prematurely, like something really needs to grow further, right? So this is to me also talking about prudence and needing to be patient. And I really think these are the qualities that you guys have. Keep in mind the 7, and again we have 2 7s in this Virgo. Remember the Chariot card that we had that also kind of like told us about that. And finally, we'll be talking about, let's see, how is the projection for this month, in which direction everything is going. So the potential destination is the Knight of Cups. You guys, are you rejecting someone? Or are you rejecting the entire concept of love, and love is knocking on your door? I mean, look at this spread that you have over here. Like, you're taking the others like almost like an enemy. You have to get so much. It is really hard for you to let people in. And yet, this is exactly what the doctors ordered. You kind of like new zest, new energy, just if you're not as cautious and as kind of like careful. You're overly careful if you allow me to say. It is really time for you to kind of like release, let your hair down, literally, right? Going in your direction. Yes, understand that Rome is not built in a day. Things actually need to kind of like brew over time. New is a new risk, of course, right? And trust me that, you know, you don't really have to feel sidelines. You know, having this soulmate cards everywhere, this entire reading is having such a strong indication about that. So don't kind of like pass it off. Like this, clearly it's talking about, you know, somebody, a white in the like knight in the shining armor. It's like kind of about kind of like a noble soul. It's also somebody who actually is elegant and beautiful in and out, and somebody very romantic, particular month. And that's why these twos are talking about it, right? You're going to be very intrigued. Maybe one is going to be old, maybe one is going to be new, and you really need to go with this, because the 2 majors that you have is death and the moon, and both of them having this extremely strong kind of like feeling. I really think this month is where on one hand you want stability more than anything else, on the other hand, you know, love is knocking on your door, and 2 of them right now you don't have it in one. It's almost like feels like door number 1 and door number 2. But what if that whether or not you enter that door number 2, that you're saying, oh, no, number 1, and in the door number 2 you also get door number 1, because that's what I'm getting over here, guys. So it is really something to take in account. So okay, let me actually clarify a few things in your reading. I really want to see this like 7 of Swords. It says some money. I wonder if there is an issue, because I can see this like self-protectiveness over here. There was an issue about somebody being a Klingon, as I call them, a drain on your finance, or the dreams didn't go anywhere, you know, or you are even the priest is still even talking about that you're like really actually going seriously in that direction, because you feel it can be costly in terms of, hey, the wedding costs money, engagement costs money, and I don't even know where it's going. Which, let me just go, this like 6 of Swords. Why is this over here, Officer? Yeah, I really think that you did put your foot down. There were like really strong rules, and there was like a big echo in these rules, but the truth is that what I see here, you're like just too guarded. It's just like it has to be this way. And right now this month is opening you up to a completely different dimension, and that dimension, I want to see this dude over here. This dimension is communication. This dimension is like you need to get out of your own way, Virgo, because the love is knocking over here. And so let me not be kind anymore. Wake freaking up. And there's like something really good happening over here. You just freaking take this chance. Just trust me on this one. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take for all of these fruits to come to the fore, but you became too rigid. You maybe blocked yourself in a wall for probably out of fear of being hurt, and maybe at some point this was kind of protective. You know how some people, I don't know, just like do crazy stuff, and for a while, oh, this works. But certain things that work in the short term doesn't mean they're going to work in the long term, and that's kind of like where this is a strong message to you that better things are happening and new things are coming, and you guys really take the door number 2. Just take the door number 2. Trust me, it's going to be very nice. I'm not saying it's going to work out, because there are no promises over here, but it's going to fundamentally change you, who you are, meaning you're going to feel that you can take life with full lungs once again. And that's really a beautiful part. So shed what ultimately was really not good for you, but also embrace the new, and it is time, Virgo. So enjoy it. And you know that I love you guys. Don't forget to check your ascendant. Don't forget to check your moon sign. To get your reading is cattarot.ca. And what else did I forget over here? I don't think anything I did. So yeah, please comment. And if you really want to get your reading seen faster, like lots of comments, please, and stuff, because it's always better when I see these comments. That way I'm connecting to you in a much stronger fashion. So until the next time, guys, enjoy this month. It's going to be a really good one, and love you.